Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hello Word, the podcast that helps you expand your English vocabulary one word at a time. I'm your host, Alex, and I'm thrilled to have you with me today. Our word of the day is classical. It's an A2 level adjective, and it means traditional or ancient style. So, what exactly does classical mean? Well, it generally refers to something related to the culture of ancient Greece or Rome, or to something that's considered a high standard of excellence that has been established over a long period. It can also describe something that is traditional in style or form. Think of classical music, classical architecture, or even classical literature. These are all things that have stood the test of time and are considered to be of great value and importance. So, let's delve a bit deeper. How can we use classical in everyday language? We might say, she prefers classical music to pop music, or the museum has a stunning collection of classical sculptures. You could even say, he received a classical education focusing on Latin and Greek. The word classical can add a touch of elegance and sophistication to your speech. Now, let's look at some synonyms for classical. One synonym is traditional. For example, they served a traditional Thanksgiving dinner. Another synonym is conventional, as in her views on marriage are quite conventional. Then there's established, which means widely accepted or recognized. An example would be, the company follows established procedures. Another useful synonym is formal. For example, the wedding was a very formal affair. Finally, we have standard, referring to something that is commonly accepted or used. For instance, this is the standard procedure for handling complaints. Now, let's move on to antonyms, words that have the opposite meaning of classical. A good antonym is modern. For instance, the building has a very modern design. Another antonym is contemporary, as in, the artist works with contemporary materials. We could also use the word newfangled. An example is, he's always buying the latest newfangled gadgets. Another antonym is unconventional, meaning not based on or conforming to what is generally done or believed. For example, she has an unconventional approach to problem solving. Finally, there's current, meaning belonging to the present time. For instance, the current trend is to recycle as much as possible. Let's solidify our understanding with more usage examples. The classical period in art produced some of the world's most beautiful sculptures. Another example is, he plays classical guitar beautifully. You might hear someone say, her taste in literature is quite classical. She loves Jane Austen. Or, the architecture of the building is distinctly classical, with columns and arches. Here are some phrases incorporating classical, a classical education, a classical example in the classical style. Think about sentences like, she received a classical education at a private school, or this painting is a classical example of Impressionism. You might say, the house was decorated in the classical style, with ornate furniture and elegant drapes. To recap, classical is an A2 level adjective that means traditional or ancient style. It can refer to art, music, literature, or anything that embodies a high standard and has stood the test of time. We explored synonyms like traditional, conventional, established, formal, and standard, and antonyms like modern, contemporary, newfangled, unconventional, and current. Remember, understanding these nuances can greatly enhance your English communication skills. Thank you so much for joining me on Hello Word today. I hope you found this episode informative and helpful. Now, before you go, I have a small request. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. Your support helps others find the show and continue learning English. Also, I encourage you to create your own sentence using the word classical and share it as a comment under this video. I can't wait to see what you come up with. Thanks again and happy learning. Until next time, goodbye.